Hello students, welcome back. This is Ms. Mercado. This particular lecture we are going to continue covering problems from chapter 3. Okay, so chapter 3 deals with Social Security taxes. So we are going to continue doing that. I am going to go over 2 of your problems in homework 3B, okay, that you're going to see on your homework assignment. Some of the problems in your homework have videos in Cengage. Make sure that whenever you go through each of the problems in Cengage, you make sure that if it has a video, that you refer to the video before you start working on the problem. Okay? It has very useful information. So I'm going to cover 2 of the problems that do not have videos. And these 2 problems are very important. You'll probably see them later on your test as well. So it's very important that we understand how to complete these particular problems, okay? So, let's get started. This is Mrs. Mercado speaking. We are using Payroll Accounting 2020 edition, and this class is Accounting 1329, Payroll and Business Tax Accounting, okay? So let's jump right into the problems. Make sure by now you should have read Chapter 3. I recommend that students read the chapter at least twice. That way, you know, they become familiar where the information is, and they understand and they review the different exercises provided within the chapter as well, okay? So I hope that all of you have read the chapter by now. You should have before you attempt your problems, okay? Now, the first problem I'm going to cover is problem 368, okay? This particular problem reads, and Audrey Martin and Beth James are partners in the country gift shop, which employs the individuals listed below. Paychecks are distributed every Friday to all employees. Based on the information given, compute the amounts listed below for a weekly payroll period. So the key here is we are calculating the weekly payroll. Now, we are provided weekly information for Burton Cena, for Mert Bob, for Martin Audrey, and James Beth. We are given weekly information. For Norge Nicole, we are giving a monthly amount. So we're going to have to convert that monthly amount into a weekly amount. Okay? Now, before we even start the problem, something that we need to look at is the information provided. Okay? Here, it tells us very important information. Okay? It tells us that Audrey Martin and Beth James are partners, okay? So, when I'm looking at this problem, I recall that I read something in the book, that talked about partnerships, okay? So I went back to the book and I found or I located the information. Part of it is coming from chapter 2, part of it is coming from chapter 3. Remember, in this particular course, we are reusing the information in each of the chapters and we're building upon that. Okay, so I went back to chapter 2 where it's talked about partnerships, and it says partners generally are not employees of the partnership. Okay, that is very important. If you're a partner, you're not considered an employee. Okay, in some rare instances, however, a partnership may operate as an association that may be classified as a corporation. Okay. In such situations, any partner who renders services similar to those of a corporate officers will be an employee. Okay. So here in this particular problem, it doesn't reference anything particular to these partners having being classified as a corporation or rendering specific services similar to a corporate officers. It just lists these employees. Now they're getting $950 per week, which is not substantial per se. So I'm going to assume that these are just regular partners, okay? Now, in chapter 3, this information is elaborated, okay? So I'm going to jump over to where it talks about partners, okay? And it's highlighted in blue. Why is it highlighted in blue? Because I went into my ebook and I looked for the word partner, okay? And then everything that had the word partner came up, and I browsed through the information, and voila, I found it, okay? So, in chapter 3, it says, self-employment income generally consists of the net earnings derived by individuals from a business or profession carried on as a sole proprietorship or a partnership. So if you're a partnership, that's considered self-employment income. Self-employed persons determine their net income by finding the sum of the following. Okay? So, the gross income is derived by an individual from any business or profession carried on, less the allowable deductions attributable to such a business or a profession, and the individual's distributive share, whether or not distributed, of the ordinary net income or loss from any business or profession carried on by a partnership on which the individual is a member. So, if you're a partner and you're getting distributed weekly funds for, from the business, this is not considered wages earned. This is more considered like a withdrawal or a drawing from the business organization. I am withdrawing $1,000 every week, okay, as part of, my work that I put into the business, okay. It doesn't really mean, because it is a partnership, it's not, I'm employed by the partnership, I'm one of the owners, and this is going to be just a regular withdrawal from my business. I'm withdrawing on a weekly basis to cover my personal expenses, voila, whatever the case might be. Now, when we are calculating, here they're asking us to calculate, based on the information, compute the amounts listed below. They are asking us to calculate the OASDI taxable earnings tax, the HI taxable earnings, and the HI tax. Okay? Now, because these two employees, these two employees here are not employees, they're partners, then I'm not going to calculate anything. Okay? That will be 0. Okay? Why? Because they're asking us to calculate for the employees. Okay? All of the employees. Audrey and Beth are not employees. They're partners, so they're considered self-employed. Okay? So, for purposes, they include them in here to kind of like throw you off, because you should know that partners we're not going to consider them part of it as part of employees from the business. Okay? Partners, we're not going to do any calculation. Okay? So, this information is coming straight from your textbook. I know that Audrey and Beth, because they're partners, I'm not going to do any of the calculations because they're self-employed. Okay? They're going to go ahead and they're going to pay their own taxes when they complete their income tax. It's not running through the business per se. The business is not responsible to contribute any of the taxes, and no taxes are going to be deducted from these partners' paycheck. Only from the real employees are we going to deduct these taxes. Okay? So I've basically copied the information from up here down here so I can actually work out my problem. So Cena makes $700 per week. Okay? So what is my OASDI taxable earnings? Well, they made $700. It's all taxable. Okay? What is my tax? Okay? Well, I know that for OASDI, my tax rate is 6.2%. I'm going to put that in here. Okay? That way I know. My OASDI tax is 6.2%. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get my calculator out, and I'm going to do 700 times 6.2%. That's going to give me $43.40. Okay. For HI, what is my taxable earnings? Well, everything is taxable here, the whole 700. Now, in this particular problem, they don't give you the year-to-date earnings, so we're going to assume everything that is shown here will be taxable. Remember, when we are calculating our taxes, we calculate taxes on the first $132,900 in wages, according to the 2019 figures. Okay, so if an employee makes $132,900, they have to pay taxes up to that amount. Any amount above that is not taxable. Okay, now HI does not have a limit. Okay, so everything that the employee makes will be taxable for HI purposes. Okay, so my HI tax is 1.45%. I'm going to put that there. So you're going to get your $700, which is the earnings that Burton Cena earned, $700 times 1.45%. That's going to give me $10.15. We're going to do the same thing for all of our employees. Okay? Now, here is where it gets a little tricky, and I'm going to do my calculation here. for Nicole. Okay, Nicole, it gives you the information that Nicole makes $2,980 per month. I need to convert that to weekly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the $2,980 monthly, and I'm going to multiply it by 12 months. Okay, and let me see what that gives me. Okay, so it will be $2,980 times 12 months, $35,760. This is my annual earnings. Okay, now I'm going to divide that. How many weeks does a year have? Well, a year has 52 weeks. So I'm going to divide my annual earnings of $35,760. I'm going to divide that by 52 weeks. That's going to give me 686.69. Okay? 686.69. That is my weekly pay. Okay? That is how I calculate my weekly pay. So, how much is taxable for this week? 686.69. I'm sorry, was it 686? Let me see. Let me rerun that number. I think I typed it out wrong. Let me see. 35,760 divided by 52 weeks. 687. I'm sorry. I knew I had something off here. It's 687.69. Okay? So, what is my OASDI taxable earnings? 687.69. Okay? And then you're going to get that amount and you're going to multiply it. 687.69 times 6.2%. That's going to be 42.64. And I'm rounding up because the third digit is a 6. So it'll be 42.64. Okay? What is my HI taxable earnings? Well, the 687.69. Okay? The same amount. How much is my HI tax? Well, it's 687.69 times 1.45%. That'll be 9.97. Okay. We're going to do the same thing for Bob. Okay? Bob made $485 per week, so I'm just going to plug that in. That's going to be $485 for both my OASDI and my HI taxable wages. Okay? And then you just multiply the $485 times the 6.2%. That'll be $30.07. Okay. And now for my HI, I'm going to do my $485 times my 1.45%. It'll be 7.03. Okay. Now for these, all of my amounts are going to be zero. Why are they going to be zero? Because these are my partners. For partners, we are not responsible to withhold any taxes. Okay? Why? Because they're considered self-employed. Okay? Once we have that, we're going to get our totals down. Okay? And I'm going to see if I can do this here on Excel. I'm just adding down. Okay? It'll be 1872.69. Once you put the formula in Excel, that's why I love using Excel. All I did was equals the sum of all of these cells. Okay? Once you have that done in one cell, you can just copy it over. Okay? So I have my totals for each of my columns. So my total taxable earnings, my total OASDI tax, my taxable earnings for HI, and my HI tax. Okay? Now, excuse me. These are the amounts that I am going to deduct from my employee's paycheck. Okay? I'm going to take that out as a deduction from my employee's paycheck. Now, as an employer, I have to also pay my portion of the taxes. So here we're going to calculate how we do that. Well, I'm going to get my total taxable earnings, which is $1872.69, and it's obtained from there, my total taxable earnings for all of my employees, and I'm simply going to multiply it by the rate. Okay, I'm going to do that for both OASDI and for HI. Okay, so we're going to run those numbers and let's see what we get. Let me put my calculator down here. So it'll be 1872.69 times 6.2%. That gives me 116.106. Okay. Now, because this third digit is a 5 or greater, I'm going to round up. So it'll be 116.11. Okay. Sorry, wrong cell. 116.11. Now I'm going to do the same thing for HI. My taxable earnings are 1872.69 times 1.45%. That gives me 27.15. Okay. So in this case, the amount for my employee and my employers are the same. Okay. In some cases, you will be off by a couple of cents. In this case, you're right on. Okay. Don't guess. Calculate. Okay. You better be safe than sorry. Okay. So this is how we calculate this particular problem. Key information here. We need to know that a partner is not considered an employee, that we don't deduct any type of HI or OASDI tax for partners. Okay, they are considered self-employed. Okay, the amounts that they're getting paid every week are considered withdrawals from the business. Okay, so this is a simple problem. The next problem that we're gonna do is complicated. Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's complicated. A lot of information is provided. Okay, and using all of that information, okay, we're going to have to complete the problem. Okay. Now, this particular problem, we have two problems similar to this in the homework for homework 3B. Okay. You are having to complete a 941, which is the employer's quarterly federal tax return. Okay. So I'm going to go over one problem, and then I'll let you work on the other on your own. I believe the other problem has a short video attached to it. Okay, so let me focus on 314. So, it says, during the third calendar quarter, Bayview Inn, owned by Diane Peters, employed the persons listed below. Okay, these people right here. Also given are the employee's salaries or wages and the amount of tips reported to the owner. So these are the wages, okay? These are the tips, okay? The federal income tax and FICA tax to be withheld from the tips were estimated by the owner and withheld equally over the 13 weekly pay periods. The employer's portion of FICA tax on the tips was estimated as the same amount. So they have been collecting taxes both from the employee and the employer's matching or putting the same amount in. And they provide you with that information over here. Okay? So employees are paid weekly on Fridays. The following paydays occurred during the quarter. So in July, we had 5 weekly paydays. In August, we had 4. And in September, we had 4. So 5 plus 4 plus 4 gives you your 13 weekly pay periods. Okay? Taxes withheld for the 13 paydays in the third quarter follow. Okay? So, employees' federal income tax was deduct $700 per week. Now we have our weekly FICA taxes withheld on wages. Okay, so the employees were deducted $500.65. The employer contributed the same amount. For HI, the employees were deducted $117.11. The employers contributed $117.09. For the tips, okay, the employees were deducted $48.77 for OASDI, the same as the employer, $48.07. For HI, it was $11.24 for both the employee and the employer. So what does this information mean? That is the amount that was taken out from their paycheck and that the employer put into the respective tax account to be able to pay for their taxes whenever they came due. Okay? Now, it's telling you, based on the information given, complete Form 941 on the following pages for Diane R. Peters. And they give us a phone number and the date filed. Okay? Now, I tried copying the 941 into Excel and it just got distorted. So what I did is I copied it over to a Word document so I can be able to fill it out for you. Okay? So I'm going to show you. So I'm going to be going back and forth from the problem over to the Word document. Okay? But I will be verbally explaining what I'm doing. Hopefully you can follow me. Okay? So, I'm going to come back here. But first, I'm going to go to my Word document. Okay? So this is how the 941 form looks like. Okay. So it's already, the top part is already pre-populated for you. It says select one. Here you have to report for this quarter which one it is, because it is a Word document. It's not allowing me to select, but let me put a text box here so you know what your selection should be. I'm gonna draw a text box. Okay, so you're given 4 options. The first option is January, February, and March. Okay, the second option is April, May, and June. The third option, or the third quarter, July, August, and September. And the fourth quarter is October, November, and December. So these are the quarters that you have. Now let's go back to the problem. It says during the third calendar quarter. So your selection should be the third one. We're doing the third calendar quarter. Okay. So you'll have a drop, when you're doing your homework, you'll have a drop down option and you have to select that one. Okay. The third quarter, or whatever your problem says. Maybe you're doing the second quarter. Maybe you're doing the fourth quarter. You have to read the problem and see what it says. But just make sure that you select the correct quarter. Okay. Now I'm going to jump into the actual form. Okay. The first thing it asks is the number of employees who receive wages, tips, or other compensation for the pay period. Now, before I start the problem, in your book, there's, toward the later part of the chapter, there's step-by-step instructions on how to complete the form. So I recommend that you read that carefully before you start working on these forms. I'm not going to go through that in detail. I'm just going to go over some of the information here. So you are expected to go back and review the information as to what goes in each of the boxes. Okay. So the first information here we have is the number of employees who receive wages, tips, or other compensation. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my problem and I'm going to see how many employees I have. So I'm just going to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've got 10 employees. I'm going to put that right there. Okay, 10 employees. Okay, pretty easy. Now, second box, wages, tips, and other compensation. Okay, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to look at my quarter's wages. Okay, and let me do here. Well, no, I'll confuse you. So the thing is, they're asking us for your wages and your tips. So what am I going to do? I'm going to get my total for my wages and my tips, which is right here. Okay. So my wages and my tips, so I'm going to add those together. So I have $104,975 of wages for the quarter, and I've got $10,078.30 of tips. So that gives me $115,053.30. Okay, so I'm going to bring that over to my Word document. Okay, and I have bad memory, so I'm going to put it here. So it's 115,053.30. Okay, that is the amount of my wages and tips combined. So all I did is I added the total for my wages and the total for my tips. Okay. Third box, federal income tax withheld from wages, tips, and other compensation. Federal income tax, FIT. Okay, that number is provided right there. So this is the amount of federal income tax. Okay, $9,100, quarters FIT. So I'm going to put that amount over on my box number 3, $9,100. Okay. Now we go to box 5A. Okay, it's telling me what is my taxable Social Security wages. Okay. They're asking about wages. Okay, so let's go back and let's see how much my wages are. My wages are $104,975. And that is my wages. Now that's what they're asking you for. So I'm going to copy that information over here. 104,975. Okay. Now, after I get my amount there, it's telling me to multiply by this rate right here. It's already pre-populated in the formula, in the worksheet, I'm sorry. So I'm going to get the 104,975 times the rate provided of 0.124, and that gives me $13,016.90. Okay. Oh, sorry. 13,016.90. Now the second item, which is 5B, it's asking me for my tips. Okay. I'm going to go back to the problem, and my tips are 10,078.30. Okay. I'm going to take that over 10,078.30. Okay. I am going to multiply my tips times the rate provided. Okay. So 10,078.30 times 0.124, that gives me 1249.709. Because this is greater than a 5, I'm going to round up to 71 cents. So it'll be 1249.71. Okay. Now it's asking you, what is your taxable Medicare wages and tips? Medicare. Okay. This combines your wages and your tips. For Medicare purposes, we combine them both. So we basically add these two amounts together, which we had already done previously, and that amount is the $115,053.30. Okay. So this is adding your wages and your tips, gives you the 115. You're going to get that amount, and then you're going to multiply it by the rate provided in the form, which is 0.029. That gives you 3,336, and then 0.545. Because this is a 5, I'm going to round up to 55. Okay. $3,336.55. Yes, I got it right. Okay. Let me delete this. Okay. Now, taxable wages and tips subject to additional Medicare tax withholding. Now, in your book, if you recall, it says that if an employee makes over $200,000, they have to pay additional HI tax of 0.9%. Okay? If they make more than $200,000. Okay? Now, let's look at our problem here. Do any of our employees make more than $200,000? No. Okay? So I don't have to worry about that because none of my employees have reached that tier. So this does not apply to us. 5D does not apply to us because none of our employees have made more than $200,000. If they did, then they would be subject to an additional tax. Then you would put it here. Okay. So now, for 5E, it's telling you to add column 2 from lines 5A, 5B, 5C, and 5D. Okay. So I'm going to get my calculator out, and they're asking me to add 5A from column 2, which is this one. Okay. So it'll be the 13,016.90 plus 1249.71 plus 3,336.55. I'm adding these amounts right here. Okay. Let me show you. I am adding column 2. Okay. I'm adding that. Okay. And my calculator shows me a total of, I guess I didn't add them. Okay. 13,016.90 plus 1249.71 plus 333,655, 17,603.16. Okay. 17,603.16. Okay. Notice and demand, tax due and unreported tips. We didn't have any unreported tips specified. total taxes before adjustments. We're going to add lines 3, 5E, and 5F. That's what it's telling us to do, okay? The form tells you what to do. So I'm going to add line 3, which is 9,100. I'm going to add line 5E, which is 17,603.16. And then line 5F, which is 0, okay? So my total is 26,703.16. 27,000, 27 or 26? 26,703. 26,703.16. Okay. Now this is where it gets tricky. We have to calculate any adjustments for fractions of cents. Okay. Now this is a little bit complicated. Okay. To calculate our current quarter's adjustments for fractions of cents, we're gonna go back to my problem. Okay. And this is how much I deducted from both my employee and my employer for each of the taxes. Okay? We need to add all of these taxes, multiplied by 13 pay periods to get the amount of taxes that was withheld from either our employees or pitched in by our employer. Okay? So this is what I'm doing. Okay? Pay attention. So I'm gonna get my $500.65 for the employee. $565 for the employer, right here. I'm going to get $117.11 from the employee, $117.09 from the employer, right here. Then I'm going to add the $48.07 for the tips for the employee, $48.07 from the employer, right here. And then for my tips, I'm going to get $11.24 from the employee, $11.24 from the employer. So my total is $1354.12. Okay? Once you get the total of all of these taxes for both the employee and the employer, you just multiply by the number of periods, which were 13. Okay? That's going to give you 17,603.56. And I'm going to write that number down because I can memorize it. 17,603.56. Okay? That is how much was withheld from our employees and how much the employer contributed, okay, into the tax account. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my form. So, I'm going to compare the total that we received was 17,603.56. I am going to subtract the amount on box 5E, okay, 17,603.16. And we have an adjustment of 40 cents, okay? So, you're going to compare your calculation to box 5E, okay? The calculation that we did. And the calculation, just to go back, you're going to add all of these amounts right here for the wages and the tips for both the employee and the employer, okay? Right here. So, it's going to be 565, 565, it'll be 117.11, 117.09, 48.07, 48.07, 11.24, 11.24. You add all those together, okay? And I'm going to add them. And then you're going to multiply by 13 periods, okay? And that's going to give you, well, let me put that, you're going to multiply by 13 periods, okay? I'm sorry, I misspelled periods. 15 pay periods. To be more specific, okay, and then that's gonna give you that times that 17,603.56, okay, and that's the amount that you're gonna compare. You're gonna subtract from line 5E, which is 17,603.16. 17,603.16. 17,603.16. This is line 5E. Okay. Okay. And then we can calculate the amount of the adjustment. That minus that will give us a 40-cent adjustment, okay? Which goes in line 7. Okay. So I hope that makes sense. These are all of the taxes, okay? This is the OASDI. Okay. I'm not going to write them in, but you see where I'm getting all of these amounts. Right here, right here, right here, and right here. So it's given to you in the problem. You just have to add for both the employee, the employer, employee, employer, employee, employer, employee, employer. Get your total, multiply by the number of pay periods. You get an amount. You compare that to the line 5E on the form, and then you get the amount of your adjustments. Okay? I'm sorry. Okay. So then we figured that out. Then on we're gonna move on. Current quarter's adjustments for sick pay. Textbook doesn't, or the problem doesn't specify any of that information. Box 9. Current quarter's adjustment for tips and group life insurance. No adjustments are identified. Box number 10. Total taxes after adjustments. You're going to combine lines 6 through 9. So you're going to add them. So that's going to be 6 is 26,703.16. You're going to add your 40 cents. And that's all of the adjustments you have. So it'll be 26,703.56. Okay. 26,703.56. Okay. Number 11. Qualified small business payroll tax credit. Or that doesn't apply to us. Number 12. Total taxes after adjustments. So you're going to subtract line 11 from line 10. So it'll stay the same, 26,703.56. Total deposits for this quarter, including overpayment applied from a previous quarter, filed in the current year. Okay, so that amount will be the amount of deposits that we made, which is the amount that we identified here. These are all deposits, which was the amount that we calculated. So it will be the 26,703.56. We're going to bring it down. That is the total of taxes that is due and paid. Okay. Balance due. We don't have a balance due. We've paid it all. Okay. And we don't have any differences here. Okay. Now, here it gets a little bit confusing. Okay. We've already calculated the amount of our taxes. Now we have to split it by month. By month 1, by month 2, and by month 3. Okay? So, what we're going to do is, for this particular section, okay? Oh, sorry. Where's my table right here? Okay. We're going to get the same amount here, okay, that we calculated. Okay? I'm going to copy it over and I'm going to paste it over here. Okay? Now, on top of that, I also need to add my federal income tax, which my federal income tax is right here. Okay, this is my FIT. So you add those two together, equals that plus that. Okay, now let me go back. Let me do it the long way so I can be more clear. Okay, so because I don't want to confuse you. Let's do it the longer way. Okay, so now for here, for the form, they're asking you to break down the amount of, we know that we had to pay, where's my form? Right here. Oh God, I'm right here. We have to pay $26,703.56 of taxes, right? Okay. We already know that. We've already calculated that. Now, to simplify it, what we're going to do is we're going to get the amount of taxes for the quarter, which is the $26,703.56, okay? And we're going to divide by the number of pay periods, which the problem stated that there was 13 pay periods, okay? So for every pay period, we are going to pay taxes of $2,054.12, okay? So how did I do that? I'm going to do a little insert text box. I'm going to draw a text box here explaining what I'm doing, okay? So what I did here is I got my total tax, okay? I'm going to get my line number 13, which is equal to the $26,703.56. I'm going to divide by 13 pay periods. Pay periods. And that is going to give me $20.54.12. $20.54.12 per pay period. Okay? Now that I know this information right here, becomes a piece of cake. Okay? For month 1. Okay? How many pay periods do we have in month 1? Well, let's go back to the problem and see. In July, we had 5 paydays. Okay? So I'm going to go back and I'm going to do 5 paydays times 20.54.12. Okay? What does that give us? 20.54.12 times 5. That gives me 10,270.60. Okay? 10,270.60. Okay? So that's the amount for my month 1, 10,270.60. Okay? For my month 2, how many pay periods do I have? Month 2 in August, I have 4 paydays. Okay? Right here, 4 paydays. So I'm looking at this information right now. Okay? Those paydays. So for the second month, we have 4. Okay, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to do 4 paydays times 20.54.12. And that's going to give me 4 times 20.54.12, 82.16.48. 82.16.48. Okay? So I'm going to put that over here. 82.16.48. Okay? For month 3, I've got how many paydays? I've got 4 in September. Okay? So I've got 4 paydays. Paydays times 20.54.12, and that's going to give me 82.16.48. Okay? Same as month 2. Okay? So once you're done, you add those 3 together. 10,270.60 month 1, 82.16.48 month 2, 82.16.48 month 3, and you'll get 26,703.56. 26,703.56. And this amount that you get here needs to equal to line number 12. Okay? Make sure that you match it. They must match. Okay? Okay. Now, part 3. Tell us about your business. If a question does not apply to your business, leave it blank. If your business has closed or you stop paying wages, that doesn't apply. I'm going to leave it blank. May we speak with a third-party designee? I'm going to say no. Okay? You should have a box here. It doesn't show up on the form, on this particular form, but you should have a little box down here that says no. Okay, so make sure that you put no. I'm going to do a little text box just so you can have it for reference. So here, you should have a drop-down box that says no as an option. Okay, on your Cengage homework. Okay. Part 5, you're gonna sign your name. We're gonna sign. The name is Diane R. Peters. Okay. You're gonna print the name. This is the owner of the business. You're gonna enter the phone number provided and the date. Okay. that is provided. Now this date was given to you, sorry, let me close this out, that way I'm not opening it up. Okay, it says here, date filed October the 31st. Okay, now, let me put here a little note. Okay, and it's going to say, the law requires employers to file Form 941 on or before the last day of the month following the close of the calendar quarter, okay, for which the return applies, okay. So that is why we are using October the 31st as the date. The law requires that the employers file the form on or before the last day of the month following the close of the calendar quarter, okay. So the close of the calendar quarter, it says here, we close in September. We have the entire month of October to complete the form, the following month, okay. That is what we're doing. Okay. So this is the completed form. The most tedious things, in my opinion, is calculating the adjustment. And I went ahead and I included the calculations here for the adjustment. Let me put here adjustment. That is how we calculate the adjustment of 40 cents. If you get that adjustment incorrect, then from that point forward, your form is going to be wrong. So make sure that we do calculate that correctly, okay? And then down here, it's just a matter of splitting the amount of your total taxes between the quarters. So you just get the amount of the total, you divide by the number of pay periods there is, and then you get your taxes per pay period, and then you multiply it times the number of pay days in each of the respective month 1, month 2, or month 3 of the specific quarter. Okay. So I hope this provides some guidance to you as to how to complete the form. You know, every problem will have some differences or provide different information, but just make sure that you read the information provided carefully. You separate your wages, you separate your tips. We have the total OASDI taxes, HI taxes, federal income taxes provided. A lot of useful information. So make sure that you read the problem carefully before you start working on your particular problem. Okay. Make sure that you read the instructions in Cengage carefully as to what is it that they want you to do. Do you want them to leave the cells blank, or do you enter a 0? Make sure that you read all of the assignment instructions carefully. Okay? So that is it for this particular lecture. I hope this helped you in solving your homework problem. Okay? Please try your best, and if you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out to me. Okay? I'm here to help you in whatever I can. Just please be as specific as possible with your questions and provide me with what you're working on, your calculations, so I can review them and provide any guidance. Okay? Until next time.